Hey guys, I'm Evan and this is Magnolias in Sunlight, and today is day 16 of DIY or Die, my series where we make a Halloween themed DIY project every day in the month of October. And today we're going to take it kind of out of the house. We've done a lot of home decor recently, but we're going to make a hostess gift that you can take along to all of those Halloween parties you've been invited to. So grab a bottle of red, or maybe some sparkling. Yes, you need a bottle that is this shape. You'll see why. And we're gonna make some Halloween themed wine toppers. They're gonna be really cute to just carry in and set on a table at all of your parties coming up. This project has been inspired by my love for mid-century, my love for Palm Springs, and with that comes the artist Shag. If you're a mid-century lover, I'm sure you already know who this is, and if you're not, definitely check them out. They're very cool. There's a lot of really fun mid-century decor that you can buy on the Shag store. I feel like this black cat image has come up a lot, especially on the Shag store around Halloween, and I think it's just a character that's like all the time. There's a clock and a pillow and all kinds of fun stuff that you can get into. But I love the shape of this cat. It is very wine bottle. So I thought, why not take some black felt and create a little cap for our wine bottles? And I'm going to show you how to do this two ways. So grab some felt and a hot glue gun. We're going to dive right in. All right, guys, so we're going to make our pattern. So we have our paper roll underneath us. This is the same paper that we used for our snail pattern. It's from IKEA, but it works really well as pattern paper. And we're going to take a measuring tape. I tried to do this earlier without a measuring tape, and I made a whole pattern that did not work. So we're going to do this the right way and actually measure things out. So the circumference of our wine bottle is 11 1/4. So obviously this will probably be different on each wine bottle, so don't use my measurements, measure yourself. So we're going to round that up to 12 because we're going to need seam allowance, and if there's a little bit extra we can trim it at the end, but we don't want this to be so snug on the bottle that it is hard to get on and off. So we're going to take our wine bottle, and I am going to roll some of this paper up because I don't like cutting from the middle of the paper. I cut on the very edge. That way we can utilize as much paper as possible. And then I'm going to take my ruler because we're flat now, and this is easier to work with than the measuring tape. And we're going to measure out 6 inches. So this is going to be 1/2 of our pattern. And we're going to go all the way down to the bottom because, again, why waste paper? That's not a straight line. It's in the shape of this wine bottle, though, because that's from what I cut out earlier. Okay, I need to straighten this up. Great. And our wine bottle is this tall. All right, so this is how we're gonna do it. I've thought about this a lot. Pattern making is rough when you're just trying to figure this out on the fly. So we know our bottom measurement is 6. So we're gonna line the middle of this up right at 3. And then we're gonna go out from 3 to 2 or to 1.5 and 4.5. And that should give us plenty of extra space. So 1.5, 4.5. 1.5 inches in from each side. And that was about here on the bottle. So that's 1.5 and 4.5. Now we're going to cut this out. And then we're gonna fold it in half. First, make sure it actually will wrap around our bottle. It looks good. And then fold it in half and just clean this up. Okay, so now we're gonna make our cat head pattern. And basically you want something that's gonna look, you know, symmetrical to the top of your wine bottle. So this looks good to me. I don't want it to be too crazy big, just, you know, cutesy. So we're going to draw a football. And if you wanted some like tufts, you could add those, or you could just draw the football. I think I might just go with the football. And then we need some ears because we're going to cut all of these out on the same piece. And we're going to cut this out. All right, so since I'm making two versions of this, I'm going to use the smaller piece of felt. I'm going to cut out 4 heads if I can get them to fit, and well, 2 tails too. So let's see how many I can get on this one piece. Okay, 2. I'm going to keep these scraps for later. We can use them to make parts of the eyes. Okay, and if these things don't line up perfectly, you can obviously trim them and shape them so that they fit together, because this one's ears did something weird and I don't really know what, but these two line up much better. And then we're just gonna try and cut this out, fold it in half, and cut it out at the same time. So we have cut up that half, which, I mean, you don't really have to actually, but it's gonna look the same. I want it to look the same on both sides, so rather than having one wrapped side and then one together side, this will. Okay. So now we can dry fit it and make sure that this covers the whole bottle. And it does, yay. And then it will slide on and off. So now we can start assembling all of our pieces. Okay, so I filmed this a little bit ago and then I realized that my camera was not actually on. So I tore it open so I could do it with you guys. And we have our 2 pieces of our wine bottle koozie. And we're just gonna put a bead of glue right on the edge. And then we're going to try and, as perfectly as possible, line up those edges. And then I'm gonna go through and just trim this up because mine's a little fuzzy from ripping it apart. Okay, so now we're we're gonna go to the other side and we're gonna do the exact same thing. Okay. And that is our cat body. So from here, I will probably add some feet, and then we can put a tail on the back because we want this to be super fun and festive, and like, why not add those things? But we want to make sure that now that the glue is dry, that this fits on our bottle. So we're going to hope and pray that it perfectly slides down our bottle. Okay, so we have 6 cat heads. I'm gonna make 3 because there's a few things I wanna show you guys, a few options. Then you can vote down in the comments which one is your favorite. But for each one, you have a front and a back. So the back pieces can be set out of the way because we aren't going to need them right yet. And then we just get to play with how we want to decorate these. So I took my glitter scrapbook paper and I cut out some shapes. I did this earlier. So we have glitter green paper cat eyes. So cute. This paper is all left over from some putz houses I made. The putz actually, like the patterns are literally inside of this paper. So I am trying to keep all of that together. But I have this cool brown that we could use if you want a more subdued look. I like the green. And then we can take like scrap felt and we can add little eyes. That's really cute. So here's like the scraps from a second ago. Just cut another cat eye shape. So for some of these other ones, we have so many things to play with, like all of these rhinestones, and I dug through off camera because it was getting a little crazy trying to find all the matching colors, and I pulled some out. So these shapes are very cat eye to me. So we could do one that's like this. I feel like that's very like actual mid-century. Like if you went into an antique store, this is probably what you would find. Something along the lines of this. So I don't have a pink heart, but that's kind of what I was looking for. I was trying to find either a pink or like a lavender heart in here, and I'm not finding one. Those I use a lot on my kids' clothing brand, and so there's not a lot left. But you could do a heart nose out of a rhinestone. You could do like, I don't like that. That looks a little like a pig nose. But I think we're gonna default to felt on this one. We'll leave that. I think that's cool. I might do something behind, like maybe that's where we pull this in and we do a cat eye shape that's a little bigger, because it's all about the big eyes. It's like just very mid-century. And then we have like kind of a diva cat. I really do like that. We're just playing, and that's why I love doing these projects. So now we have 2 little eyes that we can use. This one needs to be a little trimmed up. And then we could put the rhinestones on top of there. And then we could still do like, oh yeah, that's the move. To de-glam it a little bit is to put the felt eye back on top. And again, you guys, we're just using scrap fabric. These are all of our offcuts from earlier to make any of these other little pieces that we need, especially these little eyes. That one's a little too small, but you get the idea. And then I have pink felt as well because we've used this already in this series. But basically I have every color of felt. If we're being completely honest, I make custom patches out of it and stuff. So that nose is a little big. We also, I think, need some ears. Like, I just feel like the plain black ears is not giving what we want it to give on either one of these. So we are going to add that little curve to the head. Perfect. And see, we just keep building. But so what's also cool is another trick that you can do is if you have eyes like this, and we don't want to put them on top, which is something we could do here too because there's 3 layers, we can go here. We're going to scoot you out of the way. You're very cute. We're going to keep you that way. Trace on your eyes. And then we're gonna fold, cut a slit, and then cut this out. Okay. And then we can take our eyes and put them behind. So these are gonna be a little too big because I just used this one. But what if we do, what color eyes should we do? Maybe we do like a white glitter. And because we're putting these behind, you can just cut a nice rectangle. And then you're gonna glue that. How easy is that? And then we can go back through and we could do, I don't know, like you could do heart eyes. You could do a flower eye. You can do whatever you want. There's just so much playing. And so I'm going to start gluing some of this down and like testing things out. These were cool. You could do, oh, that's cool. Like, we're just playing with stuff that's in my kit and creating really fun, unique pieces. So I'm gonna play with this. I will speed it up and you guys can see what we create. Hot glue all of this down. It should be fine. I would assume none of these things will pop off between now and you taking this to your friend's house, especially the fabric. If you're concerned about the rhinestones, these are technically sew-on rhinestones, so you could throw a stitch through them, or you could use gym tack. That works really, really well. I will link gym tack down below. It is my preferred glue when I'm doing like sewing projects. I will glue all of my rhinestones down for placement and then sew them on, but I like having them tacked down with some glue ahead of time. Now we're going to take a back, and you want a back that matches up fairly well, and all you're going to do is put a dab of glue on this outside edge on both sides. And glue it down. And now when you have the neck of the wine, this bit in the middle opens up and it slides right on. And then your cat has some dimension. So when we have the wine bottle cover on, it will go over the top like a little party hat, or you could just do that on your wine and be done, because that looks really cute too. It looks better on the Pinot Noir because the whole bottle is black and you're not competing with this, but this coloring matches this bottle much better. So let's do the other two and then we will assemble our bottles. So we're going to slide this over our bottle. Nice good fit. And now I just felt like it needed a little extra. So I've cut out some little legs that are gonna go here. And then on the back, we have our tail that we cut out. We'll just put that back here. And I'm just gonna glue that down on the bottom so that it kind of has some movement, but it kind of comes up and wraps around like so, which is really cute. If you wanted to, maybe we'll tack it down one more spot too. We'll tack it here. And then just to clean up all of our lines, I know we're just like putting more felt on top of more felt, but we're gonna add a little like horseshoe here to tidy this up. Not a horseshoe, a pie shape. And then on the front, I'm going to do a little like across here. So cute. And now we just take our head and that's your little cat wine bottle. So isn't that just so cute? And then if like, I don't know, depending on the person, you could put whichever one you think matches their personality. Or of course, you have your Pinot Noir and you could just simply do that.